Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, depending on where in the world you're joining today's webinar from. And welcome to Purchasing and Supply Management Salaries in 2018, the webinar. My name is Charles Dominic. I am the founder of the Next Level Purchasing Association, and I am delighted to be your presenter for today's webinar. Out of all the things that the NLPA does, this is absolutely one of my favorite activities to engage in and to share with you. So we're going to have an exciting time in this webinar, and hopefully you will enjoy it tremendously. So we have a lot to cover today, so we are just going to get started and get rolling. So, question for you. What makes a good movie? A captivating storyline, surprises, drama, maybe a little comedy, beginning to end suspense, and a conclusion that leaves you satisfied, right? Well, as I was preparing this 8th annual salary webinar and accompanying report from the Next Level Purchasing Association, I couldn't help but think that the story that is about to unfold is very much like a good movie. Certainly, you will be captivated by learning about the money your purchasing and supply management peers are making. You'll be surprised by some of the factors I found that influence purchasing and supply management salaries. You'll get engaged in the drama of the social inequity of certain salaries. You might laugh a little. I'd like to say that at the conclusion of this webinar, you'll be satisfied that you're in a profession that has some attainable salary boosting characteristics. But will you be? I won't promise anything right now. I'll keep you in suspense, wondering if you're about to experience a feel-good movie or a horror film. Speaking of salary influencing characteristics, I'll reveal more than ever in this webinar, and we'll get started in just a moment. There are a few explanatory things that I must share. All of the data used in this report were gathered in a survey of purchasing and supply management professionals from around the world. Nearly 1,000 purchasing and supply management professionals participated in this survey of salaries in the profession. Their responses were collected in late 2017. Now, because this is the Next Level Purchasing Association's 8th salary survey, we are able to track salary trends over time, and we leverage that history in our analysis. This webinar is being attended and recorded for purchasing and supply management professionals in over 100 countries around the world. Unfortunately, it is not practical to publish the monetary values expressed in this webinar in each attendee's home currency. Therefore, US dollars will be used. If you wish to convert the currency values into your home currency, you can find a currency converter at www.xe.com. That's X as in X-ray, E as in echo.com. All salaries will be expressed as annual figures. Now, one other thing that I want to mention is that everything that you see in this webinar is captured in our accompanying report. And at the end of today's session, I will be telling you how to access that report so you can take a look at these statistics and review them and pore over them on your own time frame. So let's keep going, and I'll tell you this: the purchasing and supply management salaries in this webinar and the accompanying report were analyzed 17 ways. I will just let you take a quick look at them on the screen. I will not read each of those because we're going to be going over those. All right. Sounds like I need to mute someone. I hear a kid in the background, so let me figure out how to mute that. Actually, if in the interest of time, if you were not on mute, please do mute yourself. Thank you. Sounds like it's gotten quiet there. So let's get started taking a look at these 17 things. Now, these 17 analyses, up from 16 last year, form the 17 primary sections of this webinar. In these sections, I will share formal statistics gathered from our research. However, where we think we add value is how we stretch beyond sharing data alone in order to help you truly understand how the numbers got to be where they are. And in the process of doing so, we often discover some surprising and shocking things. So in addition to mere statistics, we share our own personal observations so that you can gain an even greater understanding of all the factors that influence salaries. I hope that you are excited to experience this webinar as I am to present it. I hope that it guides you to focus on actions that you can take to make your career a box office success. If this webinar was being presented in a theater, right now would be ending the previews and dimming the lights. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to experience this year's Purchasing and Supply Management Salaries webinar. And action. Okay, first thing we'll start off with is the average purchasing and supply management salary. And this is the same section that has kicked off all 8 salary reports that we've issued thus far. Some people just want to get to the point and hear that one big number, either the average salary or the year-to-year growth of the average salary. So we respect that and give those statistics top billing, incorporating them into the first section of our salary reports and webinar. However, usually that one big number has a lot of data and explanations behind it and can be misleading if interpreted incorrectly. So for the rest of you, we provide a full analysis in the remaining sections of this webinar. Most of the purchasing and supply management salary reports that we've seen limit their research to a single country and publish an average salary for that country. Not us. The Next Level Purchasing Association is a global organization with members all around the world. So our average salary is a global average and is likely to differ from the average salary in your country. That's one of the reasons we encourage you to read more than just one section of our report, or just stick around for one section of this webinar, although I know you all want to stick around with me till the very end. So anyway, what is the average purchasing and supply management salary? Well, we'll reveal that in a moment. First, let's review a quick recap of last year's big story and tie it in with the movie making theme. Last year, we revealed that the average purchasing and supply management salary reached its highest level ever. When there is a sequel to a movie, it usually does one of two things. It either picks up right where the preceding movie left off, or it immediately introduces a new conflict to drive the storyline of the sequel. So will this year's Purchasing and Supply Management Salary movie begin with the same glorious vibe that last year's ended with? Or is there a conflict that will have you biting your nails right from the title sequence? Well, it looks like this film will kick off with that same glorious vibe. Let's take a look at those average salary statistics. The average purchasing and supply management salary is $65,301 US. That makes this year's average salary an all-time high. It also means that the profession has seen 3.1% growth in the past year. Now, a record high salary sounds incredible, right? And a 3.1% growth rate sounds good too, but perhaps not incredible. It can be helpful to see how this growth rate fits into the context of the growth rate in recent years. So let's do something innovative. Our salary reports always break new ground, right? And let's introduce 2 new statistics: the actual 3-year salary growth rate and the 3-year annualized average salary growth rate. In the past 3 years, purchasing and supply management salaries have increased a total of 12.7%. Now, this translates to a 4.1% annualized growth rate over the past 3 years. Now, I interact with enough of you to know that some of you will ask, hey, Charles, why is it 4.1% and not 1/3 to 12%? And that's because of the concept of compounding when calculating an annualized growth rate. So because the 3.1% growth rate of the past year is less than the 4.1% annualized growth rate of the past 3 years, the growth rate isn't incredible and doesn't suggest that purchasing and supply management salary growth is unstoppable. But hey, a record high average salary is still a record high average salary. And you may notice the clapboards on your screen now saying spotlight on what's new. I try to incorporate those every time that we have something that we're doing for the very first time, a new statistic that we're introducing for the very first time. So please look out for those. As always, there's lots of new stuff that we use and that we come up with to keep our reports interesting, exciting, and way ahead of anyone else who tries to do it. Okay, now you saw that number, and I know probably 30% of you or so are saying, wow, that average salary seems low. And another 30% of you are probably saying, wow, that average salary seems high. Well, again, that's a global average. So what you need to ask, if you're, regardless of what country you're in, is what about salaries in my part of the world? Well, as indicated in the previous section, the average purchasing and supply management salary reflects a global average, and because economic conditions differ dramatically between geographies, you probably would value salary numbers more if they were specific to your region. Well, you're in luck. In this section, we will break down average salaries by continent. If you found our global average, or the degree or direction of change in the global average, to be inapplicable to salaries in your region, this section will give you a more accurate gauge of what's going on with the salaries in your part of the world. Every year when we do this webinar, we find two things: certain patterns that are predictable and certain findings that are downright shocking. Well, this year, like all 5 years that we've researched salaries by continent, we found the predictable pattern of 3 specific continents boasting the highest purchasing and supply management salaries: North America, Australia and Oceania, and Europe and the UK. But within that predictable pattern, there was something shocking that occurred for the first time this year. Europe and the UK, which had been in 3rd place for each of the last 4 years, had the highest average purchasing and supply management salary this year. It edged out North America by less than 0.5%, but it still took the top spot. So this table illustrates the average purchasing and supply management salary on each continent. This table enables you to evaluate the strength of purchasing and supply management salaries in your corner of the world. So we can see in the lowest case, the average salary in Africa was $23,815. Next lowest was South America at $40,556. Asia came in at $61,916. Australia and Oceania came in at $74,850. North America was $85,598, and in the top spot, but barely, but still in the top spot, was Europe and the UK at $85,963. So congratulations, Europe and the UK. Now, thus far, we have looked at purchasing and supply management salaries as one big number. Yet not all purchasing and supply management jobs are equivalent. You may be asking a question like, would I get paid more to supervise others? Therefore, some further distinctions need to be made to ensure that job function is considered in reporting average salaries. The most basic way to segment job functions is simply to compare salaries for supervisory positions to salaries for non-supervisory positions. The results are illustrated in this table, and that should make it clear that aspiring to a management position is a path to higher compensation. I don't know if one of my things is blocking the view there, but in case it is, I will drag it over here. And so you can have unfettered access to that table. So as we can see, the average salary overall for non-supervisory purchasing and supply management positions is $63,233. And for supervisory purchasing and supply management positions, it's $66,105. Now notice that that difference isn't very great. And you'll notice in the last column, outside of North America, that's still not a big difference. Non-supervisory purchasing and supply management positions, $48,003, and supervisory positions, $50,328. But look at the difference in North America. Quite a gap between non-supervisory and supervisory. Non-supervisory purchasing and supply management positions pay an average of $70,537. And supervisory purchasing and supply management positions pay almost six figures. So pretty impressive there. All right, continuing on. You may ask, well, what about salaries for multiple levels? That's a good question, because while in small companies, purchasing and supply management departments may be segmented simply into supervisory positions and non-supervisory positions, larger companies often have many layers of management. Therefore, for salary benchmarking purposes, it is even more helpful to segment average purchasing and supply management salaries into discrete positions. There are countless titles used to describe various purchasing and supply management positions. Please note that in order to limit the scope of titles to those 5 that are listed in the table that I'm going to show you in a second, the Next Level Purchasing Association applied the following consolidation scheme and asked survey respondents to choose the title most similar to their own. For junior buyer, this includes expediters and junior buyers. Buyer title includes buyers, purchasing agents, procurement specialists, sourcing specialists. Purchasing manager includes purchasing manager, supply manager, sourcing manager. Purchasing director includes directors of purchasing, director of procurement, director of supply chain, director of sourcing. And purchasing executive includes vice president of purchasing, VP of procurement, VP of supply chain, VP of sourcing, chief procurement officer, chief purchasing officer, or chief supply chain officer. So here's that table that I referenced. And you can see here that overall, as you go up the chain of command, you make more. Overall, junior buyers start out at around $20,452. Buyers, nice jump to $42,743. Purchasing managers, $60,625. And then overall, we see a pretty close relationship in the salaries of purchasing directors and purchasing executives, both overall and outside of North America. But if you turn your attention to the middle column, you will see a bigger distinction between purchasing executive pay and purchasing director pay. Difference being $144,875 to $121,472. So our next question that we'll explore, and you'll see that this entire webinar is geared around those curious questions that purchasing and supply management professionals ask. The next question is, does a college education pay off? Well, an undergraduate college or university education consumes a great deal of time. Earning a graduate degree piles even more time onto one's education. Is all of that time invested rewarding the way that watching the nearly 4-hour, but classic movie Gone with the Wind is? Or is it more like the 48-hour movie, the longest, most meaningless movie in the world, which lived up to its title? Well, the next table provides some insights into these types of questions by illustrating the average purchasing and supply management salaries for individuals who have completed various education levels. Now, one note is that this year we added the percentage of purchasing and supply management professionals who comprise each educational level. So about 11% of purchasing and supply management professionals have a high school or less education. 12% have an associate's degree. The biggest chunk lies in the bachelor's degree with 44%. A seemingly growing, albeit maybe slow, percentage is in the master's degree area, and the fewest respondents had a PhD with only 1%. And one thing I want to point out here is that, sometimes when we average salary statistics from high-paying continents like North America with lower-paying continents throughout the world, sometimes you get some numbers that kind of seem backwards, and this is the case with the overall salaries, where you see someone with a bachelor's degree making less than someone with just a high school diploma, and that's basically because, again, we're averaging low salaries, high salaries, and things like that, and that's why we always feel that it makes sense to split out North America from the rest of the world, so that these things can kind of make more statistical sense. Now, with the emergence of Europe and the UK and their salary growth, we may have to, segment them as well. But obviously, what we care about is salary statistics that make the most sense and are of the most value to you. So, if we could just turn our attention to the middle column. Actually, the North America column and the outside of North America column, you'll see that they're comparing high school education level and bachelor's degree education level. There really isn't that much of a difference. We're comparing 77,000 to 81,000 in North America and 34,000 to 39,000 outside of North America. So, that's a little bit surprising. We do see a nice little bump going from bachelor's degree to master's degree, and also another bump going up to the PhD level. So those are some impressive jumps, but I guess we're not seeing a whole lot of jump between the bachelor's degree and the high school diploma and bachelor's degree. Your next question may be, does more experience mean higher pay? Well, let's explore that a little bit. One would think that experience would count tremendously in the field of purchasing and supply management. Much of what makes a difference in the profession has to be learned rather than formed through common sense. How you apply what you learned during those years for real-world results likely has a bigger influence on your ability to bump up your salary than simply time. However, the influence on salary that years of experience has cannot be ignored. The number of years experience is often used as a minimum in determining one's ability to qualify for a higher level and higher paying purchasing and supply management position. Regardless, if you have been in purchasing and supply management for a while, you would probably like to see your salary going in the same direction as your number of years, right? And if you're new to purchasing and supply management, you probably want to gauge how bright of a future you have in the profession if you stick around. In either case, the data illustrated in this table should make you happy. As we can see, in our bands of years of experience, 0 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 20, and 21 or more, you see that at each level, the salary goes up. So that's good to notice. Now, worth noting is that the salary of someone with over 20 years experience in North America is less than double that of a new entrant to the profession, whereas the difference outside of North America is almost 7 times. We always double-check notable differences, and we can report that this dramatic difference between new entrants and veterans in the profession outside of North America is consistent with results from years past. So, whether it's people outside of North America get paid relatively little to start, or that they get paid a ton as they progress, or if veterans in the profession in North America have kind of invisible caps placed on their salary. Any and all of those could be true, but that's always been a very important observation, a very interesting observation that I've made, the difference in how you can multiply your salary over time outside of North America. Alrighty, we talked about experience, we talked about education. So you may wonder a related question: by how much does certification impact salary? Well, the statistics in the preceding 2 tables imply that more education and more experience equate to more value for the employer. The natural conclusion is that the more educated, more experienced individuals can make more significant contributions to the employer and thus are worth more compensation. However, another factor impacts the capabilities of purchasing and supply management professionals, whether or not they've earned a certification in the field. Additional statistics gathered during the survey illuminate the fact that those who have earned the SPSM certification earn significantly more than their non-certified peers. While the financial benefit to employers for developing the skills of their employees through certification has been well documented in previous NLPA reports, the individuals who become certified stand to gain as well. The survey revealed that those who have earned the SPSM certification have an have an average annual salary that is $8,571 or 14% higher than those who have not earned a purchasing certification. Important footnote I want to say here is that is against the global average. So, if you're in a country where the average salary is higher than the average salary that we presented in the first section of this webinar, then chances are the delta that the SPSM certification makes is even bigger. But generally, a number that can be applied across the board, whether you're in a low-paying geography or high-paying geography, is that 14%. Additionally, purchasing and supply management professionals who have earned a higher level certification in the SPSM family of certifications, such as the SPSM2 or the SPSM3, have an average annual salary that is more than double that of those who have not earned a purchasing certification. For anyone that feels that their purchasing and supply management salary isn't exactly a box office smash, certification certainly seems to be one of the most powerful ways to raise your ticket price. Unlike years of experience, which requires time to pass, and getting a higher level position, which requires an employer to make such a position available, certification is something within the direct control of the purchasing and supply management professional. Additionally, it is generally less costly and quicker to earn than an undergraduate or graduate degree from a university. Which industries pay the most and least is the next question that we'll begin digging into. Well, the popularity of a movie, and hence the amount of money it generates, depends on both internal and external factors. The internal factors include the quality of the script, the popularity of the actors that comprise its cast, how effectively it is marketed, etc. The external factors include consumer preferences, the economy, quality of contemporaneous competing movies, etc. Similarly, there are internal and external factors influencing purchasing and supply management salaries. While the preceding three sections clearly demonstrate the characteristics of the salary earner, that is, the internal factors, strongly influence compensation, the survey revealed that the power of the environment, that is, the external factors on salaries, cannot be ignored. The first external factor we'll cover is the industry in which the purchasing and supply management professional works. This next table illustrates the average salaries for the top 5 industries. So the average purchasing and supply management salary in chemical production industry is $113,833, and that takes the top spot. Rounding out the top 5 are cosmetic goods at an even $110,000. Metal products at $104,546, medical providers at $102,727, and just barely sneaking into six-figure territory is wood furniture manufacturing. On the flip side of that coin are the bottom 5 industries. So 5th from last in terms of average purchasing and supply management salary is hotels at $37,923. 4th from last, wood and paper products, $32,272. Control instruments, not even getting to $30,000. Engineering services coming in just a hair over $28,000. And in last place, cement and concrete products averaging a meager $25,050 per year. So that's the industry. What about companies or organizations? Do bigger companies pay more to compete for talent? Well, the industry, again, was not the only external factor influencing salaries. The size of the employer also made a big difference. The research we've done in each year that we have been doing this report and webinar has historically proven that purchasing and supply management professionals working for large organizations make more money than their peers in smaller organizations. There is no universally accepted definition of small company or large company, so we somewhat arbitrarily selected $1 billion in annual revenue as the demarcation point that separates large organizations from small organizations for our past reports and webinars. For consistency, we will use that same demarcation point this year. Again, we found that there is indeed a salary premium paid by larger organizations. This table illustrates the differences in average purchasing and supply management salaries between large and small organizations. So just looking at the first column, the average purchasing and supply management salary overall in small companies is just $59,473 per year, whereas that number for big companies is a whopping $102,869. And you can see in North America that there's a significant difference, and wow, a crazy big gap outside of North America, where small companies pay an average of $44,953, and big companies outside of North America pay an average of $88,595 to their purchasing and supply management professionals. Okay, this is perhaps the most controversial question that we're going to ask and answer today. And that question is there gender equality in purchasing and supply management pay? Well, in each of the last 5 years, we have compared female salaries to male salaries in the field of purchasing and supply management. We did that again this year, and the story is annoyingly the same. Female purchasing and supply management professionals are paid less than their male counterparts, as illustrated in this table. Now, the overall column fits the description of, what happens when you combine salary data from good-paying continents and bad-paying continents. The difference doesn't seem all that significant. Female salaries at $64,193, male salaries at $66,151. But this is where another example where breaking things out really serves to tell a story. Look at North America. The average female salary, $77,656 compared to the average male purchasing and supply management salary of $91,852. The story is the same outside of North America. Average female salary, $38,850 versus a much larger male salary of $52,713. As we always do, we encourage first-time attendees of this webinar to notice the disparity in the number of women compared to men in the purchasing and supply management workforce. While there's a slightly larger number of men than women in purchasing and supply management in North America, the split outside of North America continues to be shocking. 83% men to just 17% women. Now, the Next Level Purchasing Association supports diversity, inclusion, and equality. We think it is a big problem that our sisters in the profession are being underpaid. It makes me want to shout some R-rated language, to be honest. Well, we want to be part of the solution. And we think that this webinar and the accompanying report serves as a valuable contribution to the solution. Because you now know what salaries are, you should be able to figure out what your salary should be based on a variety of characteristics. We encourage you to negotiate for a fair salary and to use the report that you'll download later as the third-party objective data to support your request for a fair salary. This advice doesn't just apply to women. It applies to all purchasing and supply management professionals. We don't want to see any single member of our community be underpaid. Purchasing and supply management is a valuable function within any organization. You are a valuable contributor to that valuable function, and you, my friends, should be paid like it. Okay, now that we got the angering part of today's webinar out of the way, we can move into something that I hope is less annoying. Always dislike those statistics. Always pray that the data will reveal that we have, if not achieved equality in gender-based pay, but at least approached it. But unfortunately, that has not been the situation. That's pretty disappointing. So anyway, away from the controversy for a moment. Does what you buy affect what you earn? Well, if you've read our previous salary reports, you know that we've had a bit of an interest, well, okay, a full-blown obsession with determining how categories purchased influence salaries. The first time we studied the matter, we found that buyers of indirect goods and services made slightly more than buyers of direct goods and services. We define direct goods and services as those materials, products, or outsourced labor that get incorporated into the final product or service that the downstream customer purchases. Indirect goods and services are essentially everything else, the goods and services that support an organization's operations, but are not part of what their customers receive. This year, the direct versus indirect comparison remains consistent. Buyers of indirect goods and services make more than buyers of direct goods and services. The average salaries are $67,287 and $63,352 respectively. But you would never want the same scene to be repeated frame for frame in the sequel to a movie, right? That would be boring. So each year, since our first direct versus indirect exploration, we've taken a look at categories purchased from a slightly different angle. This year is no exception. Now, we didn't want to get into overly granular statistics like motorized parts versus legal services versus office supplies, but we always want to go beyond mere direct versus indirect. So for this year's plot twist, we've decided to factor into our analysis the size of the company, the location of the buyer, and the classic direct versus indirect comparison. So this approach led us to 4 different subsets of direct versus indirect comparisons: small companies in North America, small companies outside of North America, large companies in North America, and large companies outside of North America. And these average salaries are summarized in this table. Now note that indirect buyers made more than direct buyers in all subsets except for small companies outside of North America. There we see small companies outside of North America who buy direct goods and services make $47,861 a year, and small companies outside of North America who buy indirect make a mere $31,390 per year. But if you look at the other comparisons, the indirect buyers are making more. All right, stepping away slightly, putting a little bit of a different twist on the questions you guys are seeking answers to. Here's one: do outsiders get better offers? Well, if you've read our purchasing and supply management salary reports in the past, you know that we at the NLPA like to research salaries in unconventional ways and develop our own groundbreaking statistics. One of our unique unconventional statistics that's been around for a few years now is called Salaries by Position's Point of Entry. What the heck does that mean? Well, if you've ever wondered if you would make more money by being promoted within your organization, or jumping ship and switching to a new employer, this section will bring the answer to the big screen for you. We asked respondents to indicate how they got to their current position. Were they promoted from within or recruited from another company? Well, remember when I said that surprises were one of the things that help make a movie a good movie? Good, because here's a surprise that will hopefully make this year's webinar even more interesting. In 2015, 2016, and 2017, the first 3 years we researched this angle of salaries, we found that purchasing and supply management professionals who were recruited from outside of their organizations were paid more than their peers who were promoted from within. Well, this year, my friends, the tables have turned. For the first time, we found that purchasing and supply management professionals who were promoted from within earn more than their recruited counterparts. Why is this? Well, we're not sure based on the data we gathered, but here at the NLPA, we like to think of ourselves as more than just data analysts. We like to think that we have a higher business sense that we can leverage to at least make hypotheses. Our hypothesis in this case is that the extremely low unemployment rate in the U.S. as well as in other areas is influencing this aspect of salaries. The January 2018 unemployment rate in the U.S. was 4.1%. That's the lowest it's been in 17 years. 17 years, people. 17 years. Now, by comparison, the unemployment rate in January of the 3 preceding years hovered between 4.8 and 5.7%. Much more common territory in that 17-year period. As such, we believe that employers recognize that there isn't exactly a surplus of talent searching for jobs. It is therefore more imperative that employers strive to retain their employees at this point in time. Our hypothesis will be put to the test in future years as the unemployment rate continues to fluctuate. But anyway, this year's statistics related to promoted versus recruited salaries can be found in this table. So we can see overall, those promoted earn an average of $70,219. Those recruited from the outside only make about 10% less, $63,827. In North America, this is more of a tight race. You know, there's only a slight advantage of promoted, $87,719 versus $86,714, but the difference is bigger outside of North America when we're looking at $56,939 versus $45,554. I'll also share with you this chart, which shows that unemployment rate that I was talking about and who made more at that period of time. So 2015, we saw the unemployment rate about 5.7%. People who were recruited from the outside made more. Similar story in 2016, similar story in 2017. But now in 2018, with the unemployment rate at, pretty much decades-long lows, those promoted from within are edging out those who were recruited from the outside. Pretty interesting. One other point of note for those of you who followed our salary research closely for years. In past years, we didn't include salaries for those with the title of junior buyer and buyer in our analysis, feeling that those positions are generally entry-level positions. However, we felt that there are a significant enough of a quantity of junior buyers and buyers in our profession who were promoted from warehouse and administrative positions. So this year, we included them, and their inclusion did not materially impact the conclusions drawn in this section. So we'll probably continue with that approach in the future. How about this question? Does a purchasing department's organizational structure make a difference in salaries? Well, salaries by organizational structure ponders the question, who makes more, purchasing and supply management professionals in a centralized procurement organizational structure, or those who are in a decentralized procurement organizational structure? For clarity, we define centralized procurement as a procurement organization where the staff is located at corporate headquarters and is responsible for buying for multiple business units. It includes center-led procurement departments that serve multiple business units through activities like contracting, developing policies, implementing technologies, and the like, even if they do not place orders for those business units. We define decentralized procurement as a procurement organization where the staff is dispersed among multiple business units, with each buyer buying only for his or her business unit. You know those movies where you have to piece together different details together over time to get an understanding of what's going on? That's what this section of the webinar feels like it is a part of. We found in the 2 previous years that we've researched this aspect of salaries that, on average, using global data, purchasing and supply management professionals in a centralized structure make more than those in a decentralized structure. That's not much of a surprise. But this year, we found that outside of North America, purchasing and supply management professionals in a decentralized structure make more. That's different from last year. And recall from earlier in this report that small companies from outside of North America reported salaries that twisted the data a bit when it came to salaries by category purchased. Well, the more detailed we get, the more we uncover some differences between the way that North American purchasing and supply management professionals and non-North American purchasing and supply management professionals are compensated. Sounds like there are some details we need to pay closer attention to as this story continues to unfold over the years. But until we dig further, you can check out the results in this table. And you can see that overall, centralized purchasing professionals make more, $65,127 versus $61,598. Pretty big gap in North America. Outside of North America, slight advantage to those in a decentralized environment. So something that we will likely keep an eye on over time. Here's a fun question. especially if you're one of those folks who seems to be always on an airplane. Do those who travel more get paid more? As it's been pointed out already, each year we introduce new and insightful ways to analyze purchasing and supply management salaries. Last year, we introduced two new purchasing and supply management salary statistics. One of them was salaries by percentage of travel, and it's back again this year, so I'll cover that one now. Over the past 2 decades, purchasing and supply management has become an increasingly global function. Once reserved for only the profession's leaders, now most large organizations do a healthy amount of international purchasing. With today's global nature of the profession, purchasing and supply management professionals are traveling more than ever, some more so than others. Our curiosity led us to ask the question, do purchasing and supply management professionals who travel more make more money? Well, in both years, we found a not so straightforward answer. Yes, purchasing and supply management professionals who travel the most make the most, but, salaries are tightly compacted until purchasing and supply management professionals reach the threshold of more than 50% of their work time spent traveling. And only 1% of purchasing and supply management professionals spend more than 50% of their work time traveling. As such, more narrow bands, such as 51 to 75% or 76 to 100%, would not be statistically significant. So this table provides details on how much money is made by purchasing and supply management professionals based on their travel load. And again, just like last year, we don't really see a bump until you get to that 50% mark. I'll share with you some statistics that are not published here on the screen. We found that over 70% of purchasing and supply management professionals travel 10% or less. And that percentage is 93% that travel 25% or less. So, you know, it makes me curious. Despite the fact that I come up with all of these statistics, research these statistics, crunch the numbers, and come up with more statistics than ever, there's never a time where my curiosity is completely satisfied. And I want to know more about that 1% that travels over 50%. You know, who are they? Are they CPOs? Are they directors? Are they buyers? You know, are they based in the United States? Are they based in, you know, isolated countries? Things like that. Want to know more about them. So it makes me curious. But the finding that I want to deliver in this section is, again, travel does not seem to have an impact on salaries until you hit that 50% or more time traveling mark. So let's ask another question. Running out of questions. That's good. We've covered a lot of ground, but few more questions to ask. How does salary relate to non-monetary benefits? So salaries by percentage of travel was one of the new statistics introduced last year. What other statistic made its on-screen debut in 2017? It was salaries versus non-monetary benefits. In this section last year, we wanted to begin exploring employer psychology behind the relationship between salary and non-monetary benefits. We wanted to know, do employers think that generous non-monetary benefits can make up for a low salary? Or do employers think that a high salary can make up for stingy non-monetary benefits? Or is there a direct correlation between degree of salary generosity and degree of non-monetary benefit generosity? In the first year, we kept it simple. We looked at one non-monetary benefit, flexible work hours. And looking at just that one factor had made it seem like the answers to the three preceding questions were no, no, and yes, suggesting that there is a direct correlation between the degree of salary generosity and the degree of non-monetary benefit generosity. This year, we wanted to take this statistic a step further. We looked at not one, not two, not three, but 4 non-monetary benefits that some purchasing and supply management professionals get. Those 4 are flexible work hours, 15 or more vacation days per year, telecommuting, and 401k or similar retirement plans. We found something that speaks volumes about the connection between salary and non-monetary benefits. The more non-monetary benefits an employer offers, the more money that employer is likely to pay. Let me say it again because I think it's an important and incredible finding from this year. The more non-monetary benefits an employer offers, the more money that employer is likely to pay. So if you find a low-paying employer, they're not only undertreating you in terms of salary, they're probably undertreating you in terms of benefits as well. So for each of the four non-monetary benefits, the purchasing and supply management professionals who received that benefit had higher salaries than those that did not. Interestingly, flexible work hours, which was the only one we explored last year, was the non-monetary benefit that was least associated with high salaries. So that makes this year's salary intelligence multiple times more valuable. So check out this table for some revealing findings. First, let's talk about the percentage of respondents that get the benefit. Flexible work hours, 47% of purchasing and supply management professionals get that benefit. 15 or more vacation days per year, 70% of you get that. Telecommuting, 27%, and 401k or retirement plan, 43%. Now, look across for each of those non-monetary benefits. For those that get it, in that middle column, you make more than those who do not get it, represented in the far right column. So, if you get flexible work hours, your average salary is $65,331. If you don't, minor difference, $65,274. But look at some of these others. For example, 15% or 15 or more vacation days per year. For those that get that benefit, their average salary is $72,396 versus $48,686. And look at the 401k or retirement plan. If you get that, the purchasing and supply management professionals that get that benefit tend to make a lot of money, $83,614 versus $51,348 for those that do not get it. Before we jump past this topic, one more table to show you something. This is pretty interesting as well. We wanted to take a look at the purchasing and supply management professionals who get none of those benefits and the purchasing and supply management professionals that get all four of those benefits. Now, only 2% of purchasing and supply management professionals get none of those benefits, and those that get none only have an average salary of $44,223. Pretty bad. Now, compare that to the purchasing and supply management professionals that get all four. Now, 9% of respondents get that, and the average salary for those that get all four, $103,833. Man, that tells a story that the companies that pay well also tend to have great benefits. So, what a story there! What a finding. All righty. I'm excited about that. That new finding. Even more excited about this section. Really excited about that. The answer to this question: what processes influence pay? Real exciting question to answer here. Though the NLPA's salary reports are often lauded as the best salary reports in any profession, let alone purchasing and supply management, we are never content to rest on our laurels. We strive to continue to be in a galaxy far, far away from the bit players who make B-movie quality attempts at doing salary reports. Every year, we introduce new salary metrics and refine returning ones. This year is no different, my friends. So roll out the red carpet for the premiere of our newest salary metric, Salaries by Process Involvement. Now, we listen to our audience, and this new metric stems from that corporate value of ours. Last year, at last year's webinar, one of our members asked, do people who engage in international procurement make more than those who just engage in domestic procurement? Unfortunately, we couldn't provide an answer backed by the survey data that supported all of our other statistics that year. So if we didn't gather that data, we can't report on it. We can make guesses, but nothing like statistical data to prove what your feelings are. So while we couldn't do that last year, we could this year enhance our survey to give a well-researched response. Of course, we didn't stop at researching just one process in which purchasing and supply management professionals are involved. We researched 10. Of these 10, 9 were some of the more strategic purchasing and supply management processes. We also included tactical purchasing. We suspected that those involved in tactical purchasing would make less. Even though some individuals who were involved in tactical purchasing also do strategic work, the fact that part of their time is spent doing tactical work was a predictable indicator that their employers would not be able to pay them as competitively as other employers who can afford to dedicate human resources to strategic processes only. Our suspicions were correct. So let me move something around here just in case that is blocking your view. Okay, hopefully that you can see the whole picture there. Okay, so as you see, again, tactical purchasing, those that are involved in the process make $62,951 per year compared to those not involved in the process. In other words, they do all the strategic stuff and no tactical purchasing. They make an average of $71,066. So that's the only named process where if you're not involved in it, you make more. All of the other processes are more strategic, so if you're involved in them, you make more. And of the 10 processes we selected, the one that provided the highest salary premium for those who were involved in the process as part of their work was the last one in the table there, research and development. Those who are involved in that process make an average of $76,843 compared to $62,436 for those not involved in the process. Another fascinating thing we found is that the lowest average salary went to those purchasing and supply management professionals who do not engage in negotiation. They make an average of only $45,434 compared to an average of $70,719 for those who do engage in negotiation. Additionally, the biggest delta existed between salaries of purchasing and supply management professionals who engage in strategic sourcing and those that do not. So in the table there, third from the last column, if you engage in strategic sourcing, your average salary is $75,373. If you don't, almost $30,000 less. So if you're not in a position that involves negotiation and strategic sourcing, there may be some real limits on your earning potential. And one thing I would say is that if you're, if you're looking to get into a buyer position and, maybe you're in a warehouse position or an administrative position or a junior buyer position, something like that, or maybe you're in a sales position looking to cross the chasm into procurement, and you're applying for a buyer job. One of the most important questions you can ask is, will I be involved in negotiation? The people with the title buyer do multiple different things, and different companies have buyers that do different things. You can compare two different companies that have the same title, and they'll have totally different responsibilities for their buyers. So, ask, will I have the opportunity to be involved in negotiation? Because if you don't, again, you may have a cap on your salary. So those are the 10 processes. All right, let me move something around on my screen again, just in case that is blocking your view here. And let's get to pretty much our last question. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. That question is, how many of us get bonuses and how much? So we've reached the final section of this webinar. What if you went to the ticket counter at a movie and after paying for your ticket, the cashier gave you a coupon for a free soda and candy bar? Wouldn't that be cool? Sure it would. Everyone loves a bonus, especially in our paychecks, right? So in this section of the webinar, we'll share our findings about how bonuses comprise a portion of purchasing and supply management professional salaries. The news is pretty good, so we think you'll consider what you're about to hear a bonus in and of itself. 43%. Let me bring this statistic onto your screen. 43% of purchasing and supply management professionals receive a bonus. And that, my friends, is a new all-time high. That's up from the previous record of 41% set just last year. The average bonus received by a purchasing and supply management professional also hit a new high watermark, reaching $8,872, far surpassing last year's figure and previous record of $7,690. This was the fourth year that we investigated the reasons that purchasing and supply management professionals get bonuses. As it's been each year, the most common basis for a bonus is overall company performance. Still odd is that the second most common basis is individual performance other than cost savings. And the least common basis is individual cost savings performance. Because cost savings has been the most traditional way that purchasing and supply management professionals calculate their contribution to value, this continues to surprise us a bit. Now, on the survey, we included an option of other, please specify, in an attempt to gather other specific performance characteristics on which bonuses are based. Some researchers leave this type of data on the cutting room floor. Not us. Our curiosity had us looking closely at the free-form responses. We had a few submissions, such as efficiency measures, quality performance, safety metrics, success of a specific project, productivity, meeting of customer service levels, on-time performance, and the like, but not enough commonality to create another distinct basis this year. Combined with the high number of choices of the individual performance other than cost savings option, it creates the vibe that many purchasing and supply management bonuses are based on a general management rating of one's overall performance rather than a single metric or small number of metrics driving the bonus. So, in our quest to identify another specific performance aspect that is a bonus driver, it appears that we will have to leave you with a cliffhanger that we hope to resolve in a future report. The bases on which bonuses are awarded, ranked from most common to least common, are illustrated in this table. Please note that the respondents could select as many of the bases as applied to them because some organizations base their bonuses on multiple factors and not all respondents received a bonus and thus could not answer this question. Therefore, the sum of respondents in the right column will not equal the total number of participants in the survey. So as you can see, overall company performance had the highest number of people who said that their bonus is based on that. Individual performance other than cost savings, next highest. Overall procurement department performance is in the middle. Individual cost savings, surprisingly low number, and then other with a still lower number. So when it comes to getting yourself a bonus, your best chance of doing well financially is when your employer does well financially. And apparently, lots of employers are doing well, so purchasing and supply management professionals are benefiting more than ever. Purchasing and supply management professionals, more of them are getting bonuses, and those bonuses are becoming quite humongous. So with this being the last section of our webinar, how's that for a Hollywood ending? So now it is time for your questions. So please turn your attention to the corner of your WebEx console. You'll see a Q&A section there. And in that Q&A section, a space for you to type your question, send button to send your question to me. We're already over the hour mark, so I'm going to only leave time for about 2 or 3 questions, but don't be discouraged from submitting them. You know, maybe we can answer them in some other way, or, you know, maybe you'll give us ideas on what to research next year. So again, time to submit your questions. I will give a minute or two for your questions to roll in, and during that minute or two, I want to tell you how to get your the report that accompanies this webinar. I haven't double checked to make sure that it is still there or that it's there yet. But hopefully it's been uploaded by now. But it's basically the same place you'd find last year's, and there's a screenshot of last year's. You have to log into the Next Level Purchasing Association website using your username and password. That gets you to the members area, and then click on the library tab. And there you'll see it under reports, a link to the salaries report. You know, this screenshot shows the 2017, and like I said, hopefully by now the 2018, hot off the press, will be uploaded and linked for you. Now, if you are not a member, there may be some non-members who were invited to attend this webinar. If you're not a member, you can get a free membership. Just go on to nextlevelpurchasing.com, click on sign up, choose basic membership, fill out the information. You'll get a username and password. That'll enable you to log in through the site, get to our members area, and then click on library to get the report. One other thing that I want to mention, many of you already know that in November of 2016, I sold my ownership of the Next Level Purchasing Association to the Certitrek Group, and they've been running the organization since November of 2016. They've kept me on board as a consultant on a 2-year contract. So I'll be wrapping up my work with the Next Level Purchasing Association in November of this year. So this will be the last salary webinar that I'll perform for you, the last salary report that I'll write for you. And I just want you to know that I really have enjoyed presenting this data for you, researching this data for you, and interacting with you in all other ways. So I really thank you for your attention, your camaraderie throughout the years. It has been a true pleasure, and I'll definitely miss doing these for you. Hopefully we can stay connected. You can find me on LinkedIn, and I look forward to keeping up with your career as you keep up with mine. Okay, that should have given us enough time to get a couple of good questions. Let me see what we have here, get some questions. Okay. Tanya Jean Gomez asked, will we be getting a copy of the presentation? Yes, that's, well, you'll be getting a copy of the report, again, in the library tab of the members only area. And having a little bit of a size issue. Let's see, the next question. McGerald Mavula asks, hi, what about the power utilities? I believe that is in the report. Let me see. You know, we listed the top 5 industries and the bottom 5 industries, yet we had researched several dozen. And I think the report, which I have on my lap right now, might have utilities. Let's see. I'm looking. We have a lot of industries that we researched. Telecommunications, I don't know if that would fall under utilities, but the average salary in telecommunications is $70,844. Tends to be towards the middle. And let's see if there's power generation and distribution. And that is an industry that ranks near the top, 84,733. Oil and petroleum ranks near the top at 92,198. So those are some utility-related industries. And again, you can see those and more industries in the report. So thank you very much for that question, McGerald. Again, Tuya Dugar asks, do you mean the monthly pay? No, all numbers, as I had mentioned in the intro, are expressed as annual pay. Some of these questions actually were submitted early because I have already answered them in the presentation. Like someone asked by years of experience, and that obviously was asked early because I got to that. See. I'm having difficulty scrolling here. Looks like there's someone asks when the next NLPA conference is. I can't see who it was, but the answer to that is I don't know. I don't know of one that's scheduled now, and I don't know if one is being planned. And let's see. I'd like to answer one more. This question, again, I apologize, but the WebEx is not allowing me to see who it's from. It asks, is it base salary? And the answer is that the salaries we're reporting are total pay, which includes salary and any bonuses. So that's the answer to that question. So that's all the time I have to answer questions. If you want to leave any comments, any feedback, any suggestions, any personal messages, whatever, please feel free to type them in the Q&A section. And hopefully we'll be able to download those. But really, we do have to wrap up now. We're beyond the hour point, and I don't want to keep you all any longer than I already have. But let me just wrap this up. So in summing up this 8th annual salary webinar from the Next Level Purchasing Association, the research team here feels that we have done a fairly thorough job of providing you with the statistics to determine how well your investment in your purchasing and supply management career is paying off. We also feel that we have uncovered many ways that you can improve your star power and your salary. But this webinar is not so much about data alone. The value of this webinar will ultimately be determined by how you use it to support your decisions. Those decisions may be to aspire to a higher salary for yourself or to offer a more competitive salary to the prospective employees you are recruiting, or even to stay in the profession when you might have been considering a change. Because careers can be decades in length, we hope that this webinar is valuable for helping you identify the fast-growth career opportunities, as well as opportunities that can present themselves over time, the way a movie extra can work his or her way up to legendary Hollywood star by the time the curtain closes on his or her career. So in conclusion, let me wish you the most rewarding purchasing and supply management career possible, measured in terms of not just your box office gross, but by how much you enjoy the exciting work that you do. May your career be a blockbuster. So, roll the credits and turn on the lights. This epic is over. Good day, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me.